For years, actually for decades, I have had this dream that I would like to go bird hunting with a classical English weapon, side by side, of course, produced by one of the famous producers. But I haven't really felt that I got the money for that case. The thing is, if there is a will, there is a way. And I have maybe found a way I'm going to explore for the next 25 minutes. We are going to an auction. We are going to a place where they got plenty of old weapons. That is exactly what I've been dreaming about. So welcome to England. Welcome to the place where we try to get dreams come true. For decades, I have had the dream of being shooting with an old classical English gun. And I thought that it was too expensive and out of my reach. But then I met Tim, and you have a plan.
I have a plan.
What is your plan?
Well, the plan is to get you the best classical gun at the best price possible.
Yeah, and it's not brand new.
It's not going to be brand new, but we have around between 600 and 800 options here today, don't we? So there's quite a lot to look at.
And I'm confused, so I need somebody like you to help me.
Well, I get why the size or the scale of these sales confuse people, because all of a sudden you just get blown away by this catalog.
They are in this Bible, and
yeah.
They are all here. And when you start from one end, you realize that you can get one of these famous names like Purdy and Holland or something like that for a price that is affordable, actually, but they are old.
Yes, they are. Many of them are what we class as vintage guns.
Yeah.
And they are antique.
But could I go hunting with an antique?
Of course.
Gun? Yeah.
Of course. Don't confuse that with, could I go modern hunting with an antique gun? Yes, you can go shooting in a modern way, but not with modern cartridges.
No.
So these guns are not made for steel. They're not proved for the pressure that the steel cartridge will produce. They don't have the right length of chamber. And the choke is very different as well. So you might be able to make a vintage gun shoot steel if it's low pressure, but ideally you would shoot bismuth in them.
Okay.
Because that's the closest we get to lead.
Yeah.
Because all these guns are made for lead.
Yeah, and I'm from Denmark and I don't use lead anymore because it's not legal. It haven't been for decades.
Well, since 96.
Yeah, exactly. So there is a few Holland and Purdy in that price level I can afford. It's between 1,000 and 2,000 pounds. So we have done a little homework and there's a 1413.
Yeah.
I think it's a Purdy.
That's the one you've picked out.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Do you want to have a look at that?
Yes, please.
All right, I'll go get it. So here we are, lot 1413.
It looks like a very nice gun to me.
It is. It's a James Purdy from 1900.
Yeah, 1900. Yes,
1900. Spot on. So it's a 125-year-old gun.
And you think I can go hunting with it?
You can, of course. They shoot. They do shoot. But when we look at an old gun like this, everyone can see that it's a Purdy. And all right, it looks all right. It seems tight in the action. You know, see if it moves around on the crosspin. It doesn't. The action is nice and firm. We can check the barrels if they've got a nice ring to them.
What does that mean?
It means that the ribs are firm, solid.
Okay.
If the lot had loosened over time, they would go rattly. Brr, brr.
Okay.
Yeah. They have to sound like a church bell. Do you hear that subtle rattle?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these aren't too bad, but there's something in there.
Okay.
But if they were rattling a lot, this would come with the price of resoldering or relotting the ribs and a new bluing.
Yeah, of course. But you don't think it's so serious?
No. This sounds all right.
Okay.
So that's what we can see and hear. And of course, when we look down the barrels and inside the barrels, we look if they are riveled. or if they are frosted in the chambers or nice and clean. And this one looks nice,
Yeah.
but this is only what meets the eye. Because the interesting bit is how much is left in the barrel.
Left.
Yeah, material-wise.
Okay.
Because many people think that this is the vital part of the gun.
Yes.
It's not. Everything here we can change, we can repair. When the barrels are shot thin, the barrels are gone.
So during the years, some of the materials from the barrels is vanishing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you clean the barrels and you polish them and you do all of that. It's actually not the shot itself. It's the cleaning process over 100 years where you remove a tiny, tiny fraction of the barrel dimension every time you clean it.
And how do we test how much left?
That's what we got here. A barrel wall thickness gauge.
Okay.
Yeah? So this will, if I reset the clock at 0, will tell us the difference between these 2 points.
So you can measure the thickness of
the barrels.
barrel.
Exactly. And just to give you an idea,
Yeah.
if I take out a credit card, this is very thin, yeah?
It is.
It's very thin.
Yeah.
Right. This reads at 32 thous.
And what is that exactly?
So 32,000 parts of an inch.
Okay.
Yeah? So that's
Thin.
it's very thin.
Yeah.
But so let's cheat a little bit. We can do the measurements after.
Okay, sure.
If we look here, so lot 14, 13.
Because all the weapons have been measured in advance.
Everything has been done in beforehand.
Yeah.
But you can double check everything if you like to. So this one measures 21 on the first barrel, 22 on second barrel, and that is 32.
It's less than this one.
Yes. So that's not the total, or that's the thinnest point of the barrel. That's always what we're looking for, because that defines the weakest point.
Of course.
It's not interesting to know if the barrels are 29 or 36. It's where is it thinnest?
And what's the minimum?
Well,
There's no limit.
there's really not a minimum. There's recommended minimums.
Yeah, okay.
And when we look at buying guns, we recommend 20.
So if it's 20 or more, you can use it for ordinary hunting.
It's still got some material in it. If you dent it a little bit, then you can repair it. There's not a lot in there, but you're all right. If you get below 20, it's we call it a shooter. Shoot with it. First time you dent it, the gun is gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ideally,
So this is pretty close.
this is pretty close. You would probably be the last owner of this gun,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Try and show me how you measure
Yeah.
that.
So we measure, because the gun is thickest at a breech end,
Yeah.
we measure from about halfway and out
Okay.
towards muscle end where it gets thinnest. Yeah.
All right.
So I slide the barrels over the bar. Yeah. And then I simply just,
Like a dentist, you're looking for the weakest point.
I'm looking for the weakest point, and you see there, 22, yeah?
Yeah.
22, and might be just below 22. It is below 22, then it's called 21 plus.
Yeah. All right.
But it's got, I mean, there it's 30, 26.
But there's a great variation from one point to another.
Yes,
Even if you do a circular
I do.
movement. So they're not even the same thickness
All the way
at
around.
the same spot.
Nope.
all around. No.
No, they're not.
No, that's interesting.
Well, it is, because this is like the mileage on a car, isn't it? When you look at a used car, second-hand car, the first question is, all right, what year is it? Well, we've known that. It's from 1900. How many miles is on it? Well, we don't know. Well, then you wouldn't buy it.
No.
So this gives you an idea, how much have the guns shot? What's left? And it's pretty damn interesting, sorry for swearing, how much material is between my face and 900 bars of pressure and explosion, isn't it?
and it's
It's tiny. And this, you wouldn't gamble with this.
no, but I'm pretty close to do that actually, because it's such a nice gun. How many shots do you think there is left in this old bottle?
It would shoot the rest of your shooting career.
With
With no issues.
Okay.
It would. If you treat it nicely, if you shoot low pressure cartridges in this one, it would see you through, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was my suggestion. But
That was your
I know you
suggestion.
have another one for me.
So,
Let me see what number you figured out. 1483.
yes. So this is actually an older girl.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Let me just check it out.
But it looks identical. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because the gun never changed. They didn't change. Even today, of course, they've modernized the look of some of the screws and all of that, but the basic gun is the same. So this is a 1896 Purdy. Yeah,
Wow.
but
It's very, very nice.
what's interesting with this one, that it's got 1989 barrels on it.
So they're brand new compared to this.
They are very young.
Yeah.
So you got a vintage gun. This is the age of the gun,
Okay.
but you got modern barrels on it.
Okay. So, of course, that's a great advantage. But is there any economic?
Well, yes, if a gun is in original state,
Yeah.
it increases the value, of course.
Yeah.
This is a new set of barrels. So
It's like an old classic car with a new engine.
or a refinished engine.
Yeah.
It's not born with this one,
Okay.
but that's all right. If the barrels are by the maker,
Which they are.
which, for what we know, they
Yeah.
are,
Yeah.
it increases the use value. Because all of a sudden, you have an antique gun or a vintage gun that you can shoot modern cartridges in it. Still not made for steel,
no.
but they are 2 3/4 inch, which is 70 mil. And there's a lot of material. This is a heavy set of barrels.
Okay.
Yeah?
What does the number say?
I believe they say 25 and 29.
So there's much more of that metal you need in this one.
Yeah.
29 and 25.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you want to double check that?
Yes, of course.
All right.
I would like to see your machinery working.
Just reset that. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, 25, yeah?
Yes.
There, 25.
So that's just much stronger.
Yeah, well, it's 4 thous thicker.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not a huge difference, but again, it is.
What is the thickness of a brand new barrel?
I would say that they're made around the 29 mark, 29, 30 mark.
Okay. So the one of the barrels, the right one,
is more or less as it was.
wow. So,
Difficult to say because you can get a lightweight gun today that's made around the 20 mark
oh,
because it's a lightweight gun. It's made to be light. The first time that gun gets a dent,
yeah.
barrels are gone.
Oh. So from your perspective, this is a better choice.
I would say so.
Okay.
I would say so.
And
Because it's got all the bits. It's got a nice box.
Yeah.
It's a James Purdy self-opener, but it's got a new set of barrels on it. So you want something that you can use and be happy about. You're not buying it as a collector.
No, I want to hunt with it. That's the idea.
Yeah. There you go. What a nice ring.
Is that a better sound than the other one?
Absolutely. We can compare.
Yeah, let's do.
1900. Hear that ring? Keeps on going.
Yeah, and it's another tone.
Yeah. Well, it will always be. You will never have the same tone. Yeah. We can do a whole play.
Yeah, we could do that. That is nice. Okay, so this is your recommendation.
I would say so. I would go. Yeah, I would go for that. If you're looking for a James Purdy, I would go for that.
That is what I am.
Plus, well, either of the two, we'd be able to import to the European Union as a vintage gun, i.e. it's more than 100 years,
Yeah.
5% import tax.
And if it's less than 100 years?
25.
Oh, put this one together and just would like to feel it to my body. Thank you.
There we are.
It's a tight one.
Yeah.
It's almost fit me.
Yeah.
Wow.
What you should try, yeah, press the triggers, both. And then, when you open it, just be careful with the angle. Let go, yeah.
Whoa.
It does all the job itself because it's a self-opener.
That is
So it is able to reload or recock the hammers without you applying force to it.
So what happens? I have a right and left.
Yeah.
And
That's called a crosser.
across, okay? And then I just
With one hand,
yeah, open,
yeah,
get rid of the empty one, new ones in.
reload. There you go.
Wow.
The thing with the Purdy is it's as forceful down as it is up.
Yeah.
So you need to apply.
I can feel that I need to press.
Yeah, you need to apply some pressure to recock those springs.
Of
yeah,
course. But you have all the joy when you do like this afterwards.
exactly.
Wow. That was a good recommendation. See you at the auction.
See you in the sales room.
Yes.
With all preparations in place and the groundwork firmly laid, it's now simply a matter of waiting for tomorrow, when the weapon I've been dreaming of owning goes under the hammer shortly after lunch. In the meantime, we pay a visit to the office of Nick Holt, where the seasoned businessman keeps his nerves in check ahead of the big day.
I've been doing this a long time. So I've been doing it for 35 years, 40 years. When I first started, I was obviously younger and I was very, very nervous. And of course, I didn't know what was going to happen. And that's quite terrifying. And I have to be truthful. I used to go off with all the boys who were working for me and get drunk the night before. So on the day, I was feeling a little bit hungover, a bit but it was all a part of growing up, of learning how to cope with a day like this. A day like this is now is more acceptable to me. Obviously, I'm a self-made boy, so I'm never gonna. I'm always twitching, but the twitching is less. But you can't. You try your best to work out what's going to happen. Is the market going to hold up? We all know what's been going on in Gaza and various places like that. How is that going to affect my auction? And how is that going to affect the sellers? The sellers, of course, are the ones who have been kind enough to give me the items to sell. So they've only given them to me because they believe that we are the best house to get the best possible price.
The auction spans 2 days, the first dedicated to historical artifacts, while tomorrow's session features modern weaponry.
The auction for the antique weapons are still going on, and in the meanwhile you can have a look at the modern weapons that are auctioneered tomorrow. And the modern weapon, it's There's a Purdy from 8063. I'm looking for another Purdy from 8096 or something like that. But we have something that is almost brand new here. That is a quintet, 5 weapons made from 1974 to 1979. I assume it's the same owner because they look like each other, but they have different calibers, 12, 16, 20, 28, and 410. They are Spanish, AIA, and if maybe you don't like the style, but it's very, very stylish done, whatever you call it. And I have the feeling that they're almost brand new, which they actually are compared to some of the old guns here. If you don't like the style, then just have a nice look at these 5 similarly different weapons.
The day draws to a close back at the accommodation, a charming bed and breakfast that, true to form, also doubles as a discerning antiques shop where nearly every piece of furniture bears a price tag. When the new day dawns, we'll return with the rest of the story and find out whether the dream of acquiring a classic English icon for a song became reality.
Den er vanvittigt smuk.